Think about your gut reaction for a second when you hear someone use the word commit. Like if I just walk into a room and say, hey, I just committed, your brain automatically braces for something bad, right? You're definitely not expecting me to finish that sentence with, I just committed a wonderful act of kindness. It just doesn't fit. So why is that? Why does this seemingly neutral dictionary word make us instantly suspicious? Well, today we're going to dig into the hidden linguistic meanings that are literally hiding right under our noses. Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm really excited to get into this one. We are jumping into Lesson 28, Understanding Semantic Prosody. Today, we're basically acting as linguistic detectives. We're going to pull out our magnifying glasses and uncover the secret behaviors of words. How they act, how they socialize with each other, and the hidden baggage they bring into our everyday sentences.
Section 1. The Secret Life of Words. Let's get right into it. A lot of us kind of just think of language as this rigid set of dictionary rules. But in reality, language is a totally living, breathing system with hidden behaviors. Words aren't just, static little blocks that we stack together. They're living entities that interact, and those interactions actually shape how we feel when we encounter them. So we really have to look past those basic referential dictionary definitions to see how language actually behaves and feels out in the wild.
Moving on to Section 2, Defining Semantic Prosody.
Okay, so the formal technical definition of semantic prosody is the connotative meanings a word acquires because of its regular association with other words. But honestly, just think of it like this. Words absorb the emotional coloring of the words they hang out with the most. If a word spends all its time right next to negative words, well, it's going to start feeling negative itself, even if its strict official definition is completely neutral. Because of this phenomenon, words actually change their meaning as a result of the surrounding text. It's exactly like people, right? Words get a reputation based on their frequent associations. It is quite literally guilt or innocence by association. A word is known by the company it keeps.
All right, Section 3, the case of commit.
So when linguists use computer analysis to study massive databases of text, what they call text corpora, they can see exactly which words frequently co-occur. And guess what? Our prime suspect, the word commit, is overwhelmingly found right next to words like crime, murder, and mistakes. I mean, the data doesn't lie. This is absolute empirical proof of its guilt by association.
Because of this constant historical, statistical association with negative actions, commit has unfavorable semantic prosody. Even if you try your hardest to use it in a completely neutral or positive context, that heavy negative baggage just comes right along for the ride in the mind of whoever's reading or listening to it.
Which brings us to Section 4, Persist versus Persevere.
Let's set up a little head-to-head matchup here. Persist versus persevere. If you go and look these two verbs up in a standard dictionary, their referential meanings are basically identical. They both generally mean to continue doing something difficult, but how they actually feel in practice, totally entirely different. When we run that computer analysis on text corpora, it reveals this really stark contrast in the company these words keep. Persist frequently collocates or hangs out with words like problems and errors, which gives it a decidedly negative connotative meaning. Like we say a virus persists, right? On the flip side, persevere is associated with challenges and difficulties in a way that implies bravely overcoming them. It has highly positive semantic prosody. You praise someone for persevering. You definitely don't usually praise them for persisting.
Section 5. Adjusting your connotation. Let's see how we can actually use this.
Let's talk about how you can use this in your own writing. If you describe an approach as conventional, you're kind of leaning into a negative or maybe neutral connotation. It sounds conservative, maybe even a little boring. But choosing a noun like facilitator, that injects a highly positive stance. A facilitator is a helper, an enabler. By just swapping your vocabulary based on these hidden associations, you can completely change the emotional temperature of your whole sentence. Think about the phrase, a significant problem versus an interesting challenge. Both of these might describe the exact same situation at work or in a research paper, but a significant problem really expresses a serious, pessimistic evaluation. Swap those words out for an interesting challenge, and suddenly you've got a much more optimistic and forward-looking stance. It's a real game changer.
I do want to warn you, though, some words are just permanently stuck on high alert. Words like crisis, emergency, or disaster. These nouns always carry serious negative baggage. They immediately signal to the listener or reader that something bad has undeniably happened. You can't really dress these words up to be positive. They are permanently colored by their semantic prosody for sure.
And finally, Section 6, Why Hidden Meanings Matter.
Understanding all of this isn't just some fun trivia game. Analyzing text corpora indicates high-frequency words in specific disciplines, reveals patterns of collocation, and ultimately helps us understand our available communication options. By studying language data in its natural habitat, we can construct our meaning carefully and deliberately, rather than just taking a wild guess.
So if there's one big takeaway for you today, it's this. Deliberately select collocations with specific connotations to refine your meaning. You are the architect of your sentences. By being aware of semantic prosody, you can actively manipulate your lexical choices to create precise emotional meanings and guide your reader exactly where you want them to go.
I want to end with a provocative question for you to chew on long after this explainer finishes. What hidden baggage are your own favorite words carrying into your daily conversations? Next time you write an email or a report, maybe take a closer look at your verbs and nouns. Are they persisting or are they persevering? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the secret life of words. And hey, keep paying attention to the company your vocabulary keeps.